Well, welcome to Capital Region Today. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup with great information for you. And I do want to remind you that 511 Day is coming up with United Way, and they're looking for volunteers. You could go to their website at United Way of the Capital Region and find out how you can volunteer and help many of the organizations and the food drives. There's many things going on. I want to thank you all for being here and sitting with us in wherever you're sitting to enjoy our guests. And we have a great lineup today. We're going to be talking with people from the Landis Arboretum. You're going to find out about plants and about their bake sale and plant sale coming up, and they're located in Esperance. After that, we'll be talking with Mary Zawecki, and she is the executive director of the Schenectady Historical Society, and we're going to be finding out about what they're doing. They have a Kids Colonial Days coming up, so we'll be talking about that as well, along with their other exhibits, and whether they're open. We'll find out more about that. And then we're going to be talking with the group from the Capital Region Social Happenings and find out about the concerts that are coming up. And we'll hear about that and their Memorial Day picnic that's coming up. That's open to everybody. And then we're going to be talking to music historian, and also a reenactor and a musician, and we're going to be talking to Don Hyman, and that'll be our lineup for today. So we're going to start right now with our first guest. We have Jim Paley. He's the president of the Landis Arboretum, and along with him he's brought George Steele, who's a naturalist. He's also on their board of directors, but let's find out what they have to say about the Landis Arboretum. I'm going to first introduce Jim Paley. Hi, Jim.
Hi, good to see you again.
Glad to see that you're here. He's been on the show before.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever been to the Landis Arboretum, but it's an amazing place, and what I like most about it is that you label everything.
We do. We have hundreds of acres of collections of trees that grow, or trees and shrubs that grow up in this climate. And we have about 14 miles of trails. We have a center for music and conferences, and most recently we've added a meditation garden.
I saw
which
that,
I think
yeah.
you'll see a picture of at some point.
Yeah, I think we have that photo of the
So we
meditation.
dug a pond, put in a bridge, put in a meditation garden, and it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and I like the fact that the pandemic really hasn't affected your plants.
You know, it has not. And it also provided a safe space for people to come out and be out in the open air as opposed to being confined. So we got a lot of visitors this year because of the pandemic, people that wanted to get out with their families and walk around in the outside.
Yeah, and they learned something at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I do want to tell the audience that both of my guests here have had their 2 shots, so we are all set, and we can sit at the table, which we're still 6 feet apart and trying to keep that distance. And George, you're involved also. You're a naturalist. How did you get to be a naturalist?
Well, even in high school, I was interested in ecology and biology. So, right in the 70s, of course, it's the big Earth Day, first Earth Day.
Yeah, the 22nd, we just
Clean
had
Air
an
Act,
Earth Day.
Clean Water Act. So I went to the College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and majored in wildlife biology with, as I tell the kids I work with, I did all the ologies: entomology, ornithology, mammalogy,
Really?
ecology,
Oh, how
ichthyology.
fascinating. Yeah.
So, but my work experience has always been with people, both young and old families, and just children in the outdoors, working in summer camps, working with, I work with the New York State DEC's Environmental Education Camp program. So when I left working for DEC, I'm just down the road from the Arboretum, and an opportunity came up to start working with the Arboretum. So I've been there for about 30 years, I think.
You just kind of got stuck in time there, huh?
Well, it's down the road, and my programs that I have scheduled. If a bunch of people show up, fine. If no one shows up, I'm there just in case. Because a lot of people just drop in. They don't know.
So what kind of programs are we talking about? Is that something that you would bring your whole family, or is this something that is kind of heady and only for the people that want to know all the genus and phylums and everything?
I enjoy working with all age ranges, and I'm very comfortable working with family groups. So oftentimes it's a grandparent or a parent and kids, usually 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. get a little bit older, then they don't want to hang with mom and dad as
Yeah,
much.
that's true.
But so it's a mix. Sometimes I have just adults. This past weekend, I had a hawk watch program.
Wow.
Spring
And
migration.
what kind of hawks do we have here?
Well, these birds, the two birds, the one bird I was particularly hopeful of seeing is called a broadwing hawk, which is a soaring hawk. People generally don't see it. If you see a hawk when you're driving around town here, you're on the interstates, it's sitting in a tree, almost without you telling me anything about it, it's probably a red-tailed hawk. That's the most common hawk we have. But the broadwing hawk is a forest hawk. You don't see it usually.
Oh, it has
out
to be in a
tree.
forest area then.
Yeah, it'll stay in the forest. The red-tails stay in the forest too, but they also like to hang on the edge.
Yeah.
But the broadwings have been in South America all winter long. Peru, the northern reaches of the Amazon, and they're just returning now. And they will nest here in northern New York in the woodlands, or southern Canada, or northern New England woodlands. And then they'll leave next fall in September, pretty much almost all, by the middle of September, end of September, they're all gone.
So they migrate.
So they're migrating. So these guys are coming back. So we saw quite a few of those. And likely not even going to be ones that nest here. They're probably going up into the Adirondacks.
Well, that's interesting because I live on the Lishakil Creek,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I can look out my window and I see, just circling.
Yeah.
Wide circles, narrow. Then all of a sudden, bam, they come down and I figure they got a rabbit or they got
Yeah, that's
some little critter.
that's very likely a red-tailed hawk.
Yeah. So it's,
Although if you're up into the woodland areas, that might be a broadwing. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen them north of here up.
well,
towards
this is a
Southern
Niskayuna,
Falls.
so it's really probably not in the woodlands.
Yeah, so
it's
then I
on a
would say-
wetland, though.
I would
It's
say
on a
red-
wetland.
I would say it's red-tail. I mean, that's the odds-on favorite.
I mean, they don't get close enough for me to check their tails.
Yeah. But we had a couple bald eagles, and there's bald eagles resident that they are hanging around, and a couple falcons, and so it was a good day.
Yeah.
But that program, there was several adults, and interestingly, they brought some of their teenage daughters. So and they were very interested. So they specifically wanted to know, how do you identify these hawks?
Right.
So I deal with that. But I will do a pond ecology program in the summer. I forget exactly. I think it's in June. But that's very
So you're
family
talking
oriented.
about frogs and algae and yeah.
Yeah, well, all these, the dragonflies, the mayflies, the damselflies,
yeah.
all these, as the scientists would call them, aquatic macroinvertebrates.
And we do need them.
Yep. Oh,
Because
they're part of this.
the
They're part of
frogs
this
have
whole
to
food
eat,
chain,
right?
Exactly. So that one's particularly popular with young kids. They scoop up things. They all want to catch a frog or a salamander. They're in the pond that I use, and the Arboretum has several ponds. But the spotted newt, the eastern spotted newt, is very common, so the kids will catch that. But then there's some tree identification sessions. Now, Jim mentioned the collection.
We're not forgetting you, Jim. I'm just
No,
forgetting.
we are.
I
thrilled.
generally avoid the collections. Not so much that I don't want to go there, but all the oaks, the beeches, the pines, they're not native. Well, many of them are native, but many of them are not. These are temperate climate pines and trees that grow all around the world that have been brought to the Arboretum as examples. So I stay on the wild side. The trails, Jim mentioned, these trails, many of the trails go off into the woods, and we'll go into the woods and explore. Another favorite with families is a reptile and amphibian search.
I'm having the reptiles on next week.
Oh, really?
Well, actually, they'll be on the 12th. We're filming on the 5th. And they'll be bringing the tailless scorpion, and they're bringing a tarantula. And a
Well,
number
these are going to be.
They're different,
Yeah,
yeah.
these are our native.
Yeah, right.
As the study of reptiles and amphibians is herpetology, so it's going to be.
You're
a
not
herp-
bringing anything from Tanzania.
Yeah, it's
then.
going to be a herp hike. Yeah, no alligator.
Right. I want to ask you a question because this is going to be on the personal side, if you don't mind, Jim. I have I have a porch, a front porch, like people do. And on it I have a couple of chairs, which happen to be wrought iron chairs with a table and stuff. So I look out, and the robins are building a nest on my chair. And now there's 4 eggs in it. Now, I only ask this question because you know about birds and things. What causes a robin to build a nest on a front porch on somebody's chair?
They liked it.
They
must be
did
a
the
really
same thing
comfortable
last
chair.
year. I just
Well-
asked because it seems like such an unusual place for a robin. You think they'd be in a tree or something.
Well, the most unusual robin's nest I've ever found was at an elementary school on the school bell. So there's this big, the
Really?
big round bell that has many of the schools will
Obviously,
have.
they didn't ring the bell,
No, they rang the bell.
and the birds were there.
And so, the birds pick what they like. Now, if let's say the robin built a nest on your porch and you disturbed it or something like that, then they'll move away, but you haven't disturbed it. They like the spot, and it's likely if they nested there last year, this
Exactly.
is either the male or the female. And I believe with robins, I think it's the male that does the nest building, and I have to research, but it found a successful spot, so go back and do it again.
Well, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I'm sorry, Jim. I have to
Don't-
share. I have to
no,
share
this-
this because this is
why
really
George is
unusual.
here. This is why
I
George is
had someone come and power wash my house, but I wanted to be there so I could remove the chair, so they didn't disturb the nest. But so the nest is gone. But I saved the nest from last year. So I go get the nest from last year and I put it in the chair with my fingers crossed. 2 days, nothing. All of a sudden, they come back and they're laying the eggs in there. So they used a previous nest, which amazed me.
Wow.
That's really unusual because most birds will not use the same nest ever again. Robins in particular, I mean, they use it. But since they had built a nest that was there, it's not like they went and said, oh, someone changed the furniture around here.
Yeah.
And so as far as they're concerned, I'm sure they just consider that's the nest they built this year. So, but
Well, it was really funny. So anyway, but I mean, this is interesting stuff, isn't it, Jim?
Very. We're so lucky to have George.
I know you are.
And just as a point, on our website, landisarboretum.org, there's a calendar that tells you some of George's classes and when they are, and
So we
that's how
can
you
find
can
out
find
where they
them
are.
on our website.
Right. I want to thank you, George, for being here, and I'm going to go to Jim now and find out about some bake sale he has, and a book sale, and a plant sale. But thank you for being here, and I hope you'll come back again because I love talking about nature with you. It's so exciting.
You're welcome.
Good,
Thank you.
Good. Jim,
George.
tell me about the sale that you're going to be having, because it's important that you're going to be exposing people to the Landis, but you're getting them to get plants and
Right.
kind of keep things going.
Our spring plant sale has been a tradition. I don't even remember, but
No, I remember. It's
20,
been a
30
while,
years,
yeah.
easy.
Because
And
you've been on the show almost every year that year.
And it's a big deal for us. It's our #1 fundraiser, and we provide rare and unusual plants. We also sell goodies like at the bake sale, and we have
A book sale.
we have a book sale that we have a library, people that donate books.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly popular. I mean,
Yeah.
people are in and out of the bookstore a lot.
Yeah.
So, but the plant sale emphasizes not your traditional things that you find at Walmart or at Kmart or whatever. We, as a matter of fact, hunt
So
around
there aren't going to be any
different nurseries.
hostas there.
Oh, there'll be plenty of hostas,
Hostas,
but
okay.
not your run-of-the-mill hostas.
Okay.
They'll be different, and there'll be different firms.
And those are so prolific.
They are. And then we have expert advisors on site that people come in and go, I'm having a problem with my maple tree and why
Yeah.
you're doing this and that. And then we have the person that runs the plant sale, Amy Hawansky.
Yeah, she couldn't be here today.
That's right. And she goes around to different nurseries and buys cool, different, unusual
cool.
kinds of trees and shrubs. My wife and I are purchasing a blueberry bush that has been hybridized, that the blueberries are red when they're ripe, which is supposed to fool the birds, so that we may be able to get some of the blueberries
So it
before
still
the
has the
birds
same
get
amount of
hold
antioxidants as
It's
the blue
supposed to.
ones, maybe?
It's an experiment.
They're
for us.
red. They're red. That's good.
But as an example, you're not going to find that in any
No,
in
right.
typical places.
But
So we
when
try
is this so people can put it on their
Yeah.
calendars?
May 15th and 16th is open to the general public, and Friday night from 4 to 6 is, we call it the Pick of the Pots, where members can get first dibs and a 10% discount because you're a member.
So if they want to become members, how do they do that?
And they can show up at the gate and sign
And sign in. And can they do that online as well?
Yes.
Because
on
we
our
have your
website,
online. We have your website up there.
landisarboretum.org.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for being here
Well,
today, and I
thank
hope you
you
have
for
a
having us.
sellout crowd.
I hope we do.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
so much. And I'm going to introduce Mary Zawacki. She's here as my guest. And she's from the Schenectady Historical Society, one of my favorite places, and I love your newsletters.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they're so good, and there's so much in them that it's about history and about so many things. And I don't know where you get all your photos, but they're amazing. I really do enjoy them.
We have a great collection in our library and
Yeah.
archives.
Now you can't get this unless you're a member.
Well, if you're a member or if you stop by the society, we're happy to give anyone who comes by
Okay,
a free
so
copy.
if you want to get it in your mail, you got to join up.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah. Tell me, first of all, what's coming up? You've got Kids Colonial Days coming up.
Oh my gosh, well, I got to get out to Landis. That plant sale sounds
I
amazing.
know, it is, isn't it? I love my guests.
It's great. We are so excited because we have a whole bunch of new baby animals at the
I
movie
know, and
farm.
we've got photos. Bring up those photos.
For the first time in probably 10 years, we have
What are they? They're up on the screen.
Yeah,
I don't
we
know if you
have
can
a-
turn around and see them there.
we have a pair of baby goats. They're about 3 weeks old, and baby lamb who's about 2 weeks old, and baby chicks as well, about 15 baby chicks. So we are really excited. They're adorable, and they're friendly and socialized. So we have a bunch of programs for kids and families to come by and explore the Maybe Farm and also meet our animals.
So do you get out and feed them every
We
day?
do, of course. Yeah, it's the best part of the day.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch
is.
the animals. So is this going to be part of the Kids Colonial Days that you're
Yeah,
going to be
we
doing?
have the-
And
we
you're
have-
having like 3 days
We
of
have
that?
3 kids colonial days.
Yeah.
Colonial Saturdays. And
Yeah, the
those are-
5th, no, that's, yours is on the 15th, the June 6th, June 5th, and June 12th, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good. I want to get the right dates.
Exactly, going through May and June. And those are just going to be days dedicated to kids and families. We have 5 or 6 different stations where kids can come and do different hands-on activities, learn about blacksmithing. They'll build a barn together.
Yeah,
meet
you
the
have a
baby animals.
blacksmith.
We do,
Yeah, there, yeah.
And, of course, just check out the Maybe Farm and explore. And we also have our Young Farmers Days coming up as well.
And when is the Young
I
Farmers Day?
think there's one this Saturday and then next Saturday as well.
Okay.
And that's a chance for kids to plant some seeds and bake bread as well.
And it gets the kids back to nature, and that's what I like about the Maybe Farm, because you have the Maybe House, which is, when was that built?
1705.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest. It is the
It
oldest.
is the
yeah.
oldest, yeah.
And I was in there, and the curator, I don't know who it was that explained everything, was amazing. He just enchanted me with the history behind the house and where you took the mantle, and that went to another museum,
We
wasn't
went
it?
to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And they recreated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a treasure, and especially not just because it's the oldest house, but because the whole property gives us the opportunity to talk so much about agriculture and farming and these things which for a lot of kids they're not really familiar with. Where food comes from.
No,
or-
where does it come from? Well, where do you get your milk? In a box?
Yeah, exactly. So, and for people in the city to just get out and spend some time outside along the river, it's really nice and peaceful.
Yeah, and you are out by you're right on the river, actually,
We
right on
we
Route
really
5S
are. Yeah.
in Rotterdam Junction, and it's just right up over the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
You're right there. Do you have a farm? Do you actually farm vegetables?
We actually do, yes.
And what happens to those vegetables?
We donate a lot of it,
Yeah.
actually. In the past, we've used them for fundraisers, but
Okay, yeah.
those have kind of been on hold.
Well, you could put a thing of squash and people will buy it.
But we donate a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the staff and volunteers get to take home their pick of, fresh
Well, that's
kale.
good. At least, and what I was hoping that none of it went to waste,
Definitely
that
not, no.
it would be used. So what's happening at the museum? Are you able to have any exhibitions, or are you planning them, or are you letting one person in at a time? What's going on?
So this is so exciting because this weekend is the first weekend we are back to being fully open. And when I say fully open, obviously we're still 50% capacity, but our capacity is pretty high. So
Yeah.
appointments aren't required anymore. People can just come by.
Pop
And
in.
It's perfect because now in the stockade, especially, a lot of people are walking around, checking out the houses.
Yeah.
And they want to come in and
They just want to pop in and say, what
Exactly,
is
so-
this? What is this place?
So we're open 6 days a week to the public anytime that they want to come in during our business hours. And we do have a new exhibit that's opening up in mid-May. My colleague will be here, I think, in 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, because you're
to
coming
talk
on
about
again
that.
to talk about
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
And
so-
can you give us a sneak
I
peek
can
of the
give
title?
you a sneak preview. It's really cool. It's about women's fashion.
Okay,
So-
we're not going to talk
okay,
anymore
okay,
about that.
That's it.
But it's women's fashion, and you got to watch it because that'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see how that. And over the years,
It's over the years with a contemporary twist.
Oh, wow.
So some new creations made by fashion
Oh,
design
this is,
students.
oh, good. We're giving you too much information, but I think it's a bit of a teaser.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
you
gonna
got to
be
come
good.
out and see that. So that's going to open up in May, is that it?
Yeah, in May. And that'll be virtual and in person. So
Okay.
people can.
But you've also had virtual speakers. So
We have,
and
and we have
on
a few
Zoom
more
and stuff.
too.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
we
tell
have a
us
few
about
more.
those.
That's been incredible. You know, a lot
I know. I
people,
attended a few of them, and they're amazing.
It's
yeah.
great because we can have speakers who have been studying the history of Schenectady but live literally in different countries. We would never be able to bring them.
I know.
to
Isn't that
Schenectady.
amazing?
No, never in a million years.
Was anybody from the Netherlands?
We had a guest from the Netherlands.
I thought
of course,
so. I
yeah.
kind of had that in the back of my mind.
And you know, from Texas and Louisiana, and these people who really, really know this stuff, and that get to pass that history and those stories on to our audience has been incredible.
That is great when you are, you know, it's funny that we've talked about the pandemic and how horrible it's been for a lot of people, businesses, and people earning wages and everything. On the flip side, we have now discovered new ways of communicating, new ways of getting, I attended a lecture from a Cincinnati Museum of Art and History that was fantastic, and it was about how they used religion throughout the ages in art and how they've done it, you know.
Oh, very cool.
But it was fascinating, but these are things that we would never have even attempted to even search out.
No, exactly.
And I think that that's really what happens through this, and I think it's changed our lives a bit. Some people are now working at home, finding out they can do it efficiently, maybe working 2 days in and 3 days home, or vice versa.
Right.
And I think that like I say, we've just changed our whole lives. So I'm sure that you're going to have something in the museum about the pandemic, maybe?
We did start
Eventually?
We did. We started an archive, you know, like many organizations, for people to submit their photos and stories. And so right now we're just collecting those.
Yeah,
And-
so 100 years from now, when we have the next
Exactly.
pandemic,
Yeah,
they'll
it's-
say, what did they do in 2020?
Yeah. No, really, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a historical year for sure on
Yeah.
a lot of fronts. So that's been really quite interesting to document.
Right, and one of the things I think people should realize, there is a street parking, but there's also parking behind the museum.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, plenty of parking.
Right, and where you're located right next to the YWCA, so it's not, are you going to be doing the trees again this year?
We're pretty much back to doing everything. Yeah,
Isn't it wonderful?
it really is. It feels really
And
good.
Proctors is coming back full bore starting in December, we hope.
It's amazing.
Unless something new happens, but right now we've all got our fingers crossed that things are going. I do want to remind our viewers, if you're watching, that anyone who's been vaccinated twice can appear on the show, maskless if they have not, even if they've only had one shot. They have to remain masked. So just so you know what's going on and why some are and some aren't. Mary, I want to thank you so much. It's always a delight to have you on, and I do want to say that I really liked your walks, and we attended one in the Little Italy district, and I hope you'll do that again because it was so interesting, and to get into these places and learn about the history and bootlegging and whatever it was, the history of, there was some really strange history that we talked about, your Mike, I think. Is it
Yes,
Mike?
yes,
Mike.
and we have a whole bunch of brand new tours coming up this year as well.
So that's great. So
stay
we
tuned
want to
for
make sure that people do check out your website. Join. If you join, you'll get your emails coming in, which is really great to find out what's going on. Mary, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank
It's always
you.
a pleasure
Likewise.
to see you, and I hope to see you at the museum.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and with me I have Dave Freeman. David is the president of Social Happenings, I want to say Capital Region Social Happenings, as well as Singles Outreach. So he's a very busy man and trying to keep all the balls in the air. So let's go and find out what you're up to, Dave. And you got to get, you're getting that second shot, aren't you?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. And so is Bonnie. So anyway, so tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, one of our feature events is our concert series.
You have you had one last month
Yes.
that was very good.
Yes, we had.
And I think one of our guests coming on next was on your last month's
yes, he
concert
was,
series,
and
right?
Very well received. He gave a very energetic show, Don Hyman.
Yeah.
And last week we had Dave Gallagher, guitarist, give another dynamic performance. This coming Friday, to finish out our April series, we have Miss Carla Page coming.
And she's a dynamic.
She is.
Yeah,
She just
dynamic.
brings it every time she comes.
Yeah.
And we have an exciting May lineup. We have Mark Thomasone on May 7th.
He's a guitarist, right?
He's a guitarist. He does Beatles, 60s music, and part of his show he will be making up songs right on the spot for people.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
yeah.
That what a talent that is to be
Yeah,
able to rhyme on the spot, so to speak.
So we're looking forward to that. I announced that at our last concert with Dave Gallagher, and he attempted to,
Yeah, it did.
and he was very successful.
good.
So he may have a new act coming.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
On the 14th of May, we have Joe Sinatra coming. He'll be
Yeah, and he
doing-
appears in Little Italy a lot of times for that. And they're having a. I just found out today that Little Italy will be doing their big festival, so you may see him there as well. So yeah.
And he does a great tribute to Frank Sinatra and the big band.
And
era.
the big band era.
And on the 21st, we have Brian Chappell, another guitarist, and he does a wide variety of music.
Yeah,
And then 28th, we have a return engagement with Miss Carla Page.
yeah. And then for Memorial Day picnic, Don Hyman's coming,
Don
right?
Hyman's
And
coming.
he's going to be on the show today.
And that's-
Bonnie is your program chair,
Yes,
right?
she is.
So Bonnie, tell me, how do you get all these great performers, and how do you find great events to put on?
Dave and I work together on that. I'm so like his second hand, helping him.
So you work together, is that
Yeah.
it? Yeah, because it's tough to kind of plan ahead, because you don't just do it week to week. You really have to plan month by month
Yeah, you do.
to get them. And you also do some planning for other events as well, too. Is that correct? Like if you have a picnic and stuff, I'm sure you work on that.
Yep, I help get the supplies. I help set up the room. After each event, I help disinfect the chair, table. I keep track of the snacks and the drinks, make sure we have enough for each event. You keep me busy. I help them decorate the room.
But it's fun, isn't it?
It is.
It's
I'm
fun to do
enjoying it.
that. Yeah, and I know, I have to say, Bonnie is a very talented woman. She's an artist, and she does wonderful seams of clothing and things. And so she's a very busy and talented woman, and Dave is very fortunate to have her on your team. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, and the idea that you have like a picnic, and Bonnie just said that you have to go out and get the supplies and everything like that. But let's go back to your concert series. And one thing she did mention, snacks and beverages, and those are included, is that
Those are
correct?
included on Friday,
Yeah.
our Friday night series.
And so, and how many do you expect to get? I mean, are these outside or inside events?
We've done them inside so far because of weather, but we're hoping in May to start the outside series.
The outside, because then you can have as many people as you want.
Right.
And I know that you've been CDC compliant all along.
Yeah, we have covered everything in the room so that it can be sprayed with an aerosol disinfectant and allow the air dry. And we do that after each event. We require masks to be worn if they haven't been fully vaccinated. We maintain the social distancing so that limits how many we can have in the room.
Right, because I mean, in a way, you have to. We want to protect everyone in the same way that we're doing the show today. We try and protect everyone that's in the room. And I don't know if you realize it, but we are filming in the GE Theater at Proctors. In that room, our air is totally circulated, as well as bringing fresh air in as well. So this is really CDC compliant. And of course, that's how we want it. We want to be in a safe zone, so to speak.
We put safety first.
Yeah, and with you, I know with Bonnie, we brought another guest, and we'll bring her on in a minute. But Bonnie, do you find that working as the program chair has been challenging, or is it something that you've kind of fallen into?
Something I kind of fell into, but I enjoy giving Dave ideas. And
Because you do it for two groups, pretty much. Is that correct?
two groups.
Yeah. So this is why it's more challenging, because you kind of have to make everything balance out. Thank you for being here, Bonnie, and keep up the good work. And I'm looking forward to maybe checking out that Memorial Day picnic, and it's going to be outside, and that will be fun.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick. We're going to change, and Maria's going to join us, and Maria's also on your team as well. The idea of the Memorial Day picnic, we're not calling it a picnic. We're calling it a celebration. Is that correct?
It's more of a extravaganza celebration.
An extravaganza. That's a bigger word.
It's a full day event for one price.
Yeah.
Includes a meal, socialization, there'll be background music, and then we'll have a concert with Don Hyman at 2:30, and we'll follow that by bringing the food back out again. And
So whatever's left over, you
finishing-
bring out again, so they can get a
Yeah.
second meal.
Yeah, and to finish the evening off with a campfire and friends and socialization. And the campfires have been very successful.
I know they have. I've attended one, and they're very nice. I do want to mention where this is. It's going to be in Colony. Is that correct?
Correct.
The picnic is going to be
Yes.
in Colony, and it's going to be. And we're talking at Hanover Square. It's over on New Kerner Road. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
435 New Kerner Road.
Yeah. And if you're interested, you can certainly call the number. I believe we put the number up on the screen, and we'll get the word out. But you brought Maria with it. Why did you bring Maria?
Maria has been a real asset to our organization. She's a past president, she's a current board advisor, and she orchestrates our Real World. on
Real
Tuesday
World.
nights.
What is Real World, Maria?
Real
Welcome
World.
to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Maria Immediato is with us today.
Real World is a tradition, actually, in social happenings for decades now. And basically, it is a discussion forum. We hold Real World every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in our community room in Hanover Square. And although I facilitate many of those discussion groups, I'm not the only one that does that. We welcome all members and people really in general that have a particular interest in
topic.
anything, a particular topic.
So what are some of the topics? Do you talk about?
Well, I'll tell you what we talked about last night.
Whoa.
We have, there's another David in our group whose specialty is the news. And so
What's new in the news?
Doing the news. What's new in the news? And the funny thing is he actually doesn't really focus on the headlines, and he'll bring other news topics that people may miss. They sort of fall under the radar. And he'll present them, a little bit of information on them, and then open for discussion. And so he, as a facilitator, he'll lead that discussion, he'll guide it. If we go off course a little bit, he'll bring it back. That always happens, of course. And an example of one that's coming up for me that I'm facilitating is what's your time machine? And
What's your time machine?
Everyone has a time
You're not an
machine.
H.G. Wells person, I know.
It sounds like it, right? But in reality, everyone has a time machine. It could be a song. It could be a place.
Oh,
it could
I
be
see
a
what you mean.
scent.
That a song will just kind of bring you back to a spot.
Absolutely. And so this is upcoming, I believe, in the next month or so. And so what I'll be doing
What an
is,
interesting topic.
isn't it? And I actually got this topic because I was going through some very old emails. I hate to tell you how old some of them are. I won't embarrass myself. And
Well, it couldn't be before computers, so there you go.
No, but we're getting pretty close there. And I read this email, and it really just brought me back. And it's like, wow, this is like opening up a time capsule, sort of like a time machine for me. And I also have favorite songs that are.
Oh, the minute you hear that song, it just brings you back. I was dancing. Somebody posted something, a song, and I said, I remember dancing with this guy I had a crush on when that song played. I mean, now how far back did that go? But it triggered. So there's something in our brains, and they do say that music, when people with Alzheimer's, for instance, music seems to really bring them back. So music
very
seems to
true.
be a trigger.
Absolutely, and it could be anything. Just another quick story about my time machine is I was opening up a new bar of soap in my bathroom, and the aroma was of roses, and it brought me back to my junior prom, where we had a theme was the zodiac, all right, as the signs, and we had candles, and one of my candles smelled of roses, and it was the exact same aroma. So
It triggers somewhere in
immediately
your brain.
brought
It
me back.
happened.
So, and of course, we have so many other topics. You name it, we discuss it. Many times.
And
it
you're
is
looking
about-
for leaders also.
Yeah, we're looking for facilitators.
So if
and
somebody's
leaders all
listening,
the
maybe
time.
they might have a topic they'd like to lead, but they have to go through you anyway.
They would need to go through me, and also too, as scary as it sounds to lead a group, I'm usually there to help. I even help behind the scenes if someone's not quite sure about how to research something or if it needs to be presented on our TV. I have a computer, we can present
Yeah,
anything
so
on our
it really
television.
makes it nice. I like the idea of the real world. When you said that, somebody posted recently, what were you doing when when they walked on the moon?
Absolutely.
And the minute they said that, I knew exactly where I was sitting on the couch, I was watching it, and I thought, and who I was with, it was like, bam, it all just, that one little trigger, which I may not have even thought about.
Absolutely.
But like the song with me having this crush on this guy, I hope you're not watching. But maybe you don't even remember the song, but it hit me.
Absolutely.
And that could be the thing. Maybe it affected you, but not the other person that was in the same space.
Of course, and everyone has their unique time machine.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect example of how something so simple can spark a huge discussion. And it just keeps on going. So I've been in love with Real World, I think,
You should
since
be.
the
It's
beginning. And having now taken it over the past few years as far as getting people to help facilitate, has been an honor to do that. And it's one of my favorite things actually to do with social happenings besides the entertainment and the picnics that we have.
Yeah,
the
well,
dinners.
it's a great idea, and I do want to at least, and Dave, I know you're here, I'm not ignoring you, but anyway, I do want to address Maria, and this is, she's going to be surprised that I say this, but you are really involved with paranormal as well.
I am. And in fact, it's been some of our discussions on Tuesday night. Again, our discussions are part presentation and part discussion. And so as we get a little closer to the fall, for obvious reasons, I've had a variety of guests who are local paranormal investigators come on our show. They'll present their spin on the paranormal, their experiences, their evidence. Then we open it up to the
And you try and do
audience.
evidence-based as well.
I'm sorry, say again?
You're doing evidence-based as much as
Yes, it's
possible.
evidence-based. We also have some discussions that time of year, it could be other times of year as well, of personal experiences where someone may have had a personal experience in a home of a loved one or a friend.
And you can't go back and do, have an investigation because it's already
Absolutely.
happened.
Absolutely. So-
And I really have read a lot of Hans Holzer books where he goes in to disprove.
Yes.
That was his intention, to go in and disprove that it really happened, and sometimes he couldn't.
Yes, very true. And his show right now is very popular on TV. But this is, again, one of my passions that I will explore from time to time.
So it could appear on Real World.
It will appear on Real
There
World.
you go.
It's just a matter of the timing. And hopefully we'll have some special guests as well this year, as we usually do.
Yeah. Now, Dave, have you ever done anything on Real World? Have you ever led one?
I attempted a couple of times, and it gave me a whole new respect for Maria.
What she does.
Yes.
It is tough
It's
to
a
lead
tough spot.
I mean, I kind of lead a little group here every week, but it's a little bit different than what you're doing as well. But Dave, I want to really thank you so much for being here and telling our viewers about this, and Maria as well. This is just an amazing organization that you've put together to bring music. In this time of pandemic, it's been a little bit
Yes.
differently because we have to think about the pandemic and what's going on. But Maria, I want to thank you so much for talking about Real World. It's been
Thanks
a
for
pleasure.
having me.
So Dave, you had a little bit of a challenge there when you did your Real World, huh? You know
Yeah.
what it's like.
Yeah, I'm doing one next week.
You
so,
are doing one. And what's your
Yeah.
topic going to be?
It's dealing with the public.
What is it?
Dealing with the public.
We're dealing with the public.
Yeah, just-
And you do that all the time.
Yes, and it's just people give chance to tell how they dealt with a salesman or a waitress.
Yeah,
or-
oh boy, you're going to hear
Yeah,
some stuff
so-
because some people just don't know how
Yeah.
to deal with the public.
Yeah, I figure I got a couple stories of my own to lead it off, and I think after that, it'll take off.
Well,
hopefully.
it's really great to have you on the show, and I appreciate it. And what we have just sat down at the table, and you can even address him, is Don Hyman, and he's going to be
Yes.
appearing. So, Don, you're going to be appearing for Dave?
Can't wait. We're already rehearsing and getting it ready. We talked to Dave about, that same night we went out to look at the location. And
It's going to be outside.
it's going to be outside, and it's Memorial Day, which is, I told Dave, I'm used to doing something on Memorial Day at the nursing homes, and those things shut down.
Yeah.
So he's sort of bringing back my Memorial Day. And I'm a veteran too, so we talked about some patriotic songs that
Oh,
we're going to
that's
do.
great, yeah.
As well as Dave has a few country.
Dave is great to work with, isn't he?
Oh, he's the man. Yeah. He's the man. Dave is definitely. He gives me these calls, and I get these emails, and it's like, let's do it, you know. And then he's booking me like for the next 10 years, you know. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what Dave does, you know. I mean, I know Bonnie's the program, but Dave seems to be able to get his little foot in the door there and get people out there. So
I'm a big fan of Don.
I'm a big
so-
fan of Don, too.
Stop.
Yeah.
We had a nice time last time because it was like 2 days after my birthday.
I know, you brought 3 cakes.
Wait a minute, there were 2 more that didn't get there.
Oh, my God.
This was-
That was a lot of fun.
This was a cake year. I could not believe it, and I was like, I'm not going to eat all this
I
cake.
didn't bring one today, just so you know. There's no cake here.
That's good. That's good to know.
Right.
Yeah, but I want to thank you, really. I miss having your show, and it's always been a special thing for me to be on your show and be invited. I've had some good times. And then your connection with the, SOS was how I got to SOS originally. And the SOS crowd is, I always think of myself as being at a Copacabana or something. That's how it would be, because the crowd is so receiving, and we usually get up and sing. They usually get up and dance with me. And
It's
we
been a
just
little
have
bit
ball.
less with the pandemic, but
Oh,
it's
no.
gonna really rock on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Dave, I want to thank you so much for being here, and we're going to talk to Don about everything that he does. We're talking about music, but you also do so much. You're a music historian, because you know, when I first met you, you were sitting in my audience. You had come with someone else. I can't remember who, but you came with
It was
someone
a Selma 50 celebration
Yes, and you sat in the audience and you had a book in front of you
about Otis Redding.
about Otis Redding.
Yeah.
And I went over to you and I said, "What are you reading?" And you said, "Oh, I'm reading this book about Otis because I love the history of music." And I'm saying, "You got to come on the show." And that's how we met, and that's how we became friends that way.
Yes. And we moved in a marvelous way. And I was listening to Maria when she's talking about triggers for music and stuff like that. I recently had the opportunity to do a program on Motown and jazz in the Harlem Renaissance. And one of the things that happened when we got to the Motown segment, we did it in 2 parts. We did the Motown and the jazz, the connection between the 2 companies. And then the following week we did the groups of Motown and a little bit snippets of their music and background and stuff like
Now,
that.
what an era that was. Wasn't it an era? It was something that really changed music, I think.
It still works. People recognize it, and I got a chance to see most of the performers, and I got a chance to meet some of them, which was significant, because when I met Mary Wilson of the Supremes, it was like seeing her on the Ed Sullivan Show and on TV all those years. She was always so beautiful, and she came to get this together, Albany Institute of History and Art,
Of History and Art.
with her collection. And
What collection was that?
all of the Supremes gowns, they were
Oh,
there.
okay.
There was a big, exhibit.
Right.
And I had some of the memorabilia, and they featured some of my albums as part of the exhibit. So I got treated like a VIP. I got to go to the opening, and I didn't get to meet her, but she was booked into doing a show at Alive at 5, and I worked backstage for years at Live at 5, and I was like, I can't believe that's her. That's really her. And after the show, we talked, and I showed her some articles where they interviewed me. She said, "Oh, I just love to have these." And I gave it to her, and my address was on it and everything. Thought nothing about it. About a month later, I go to the post office, and I got this yellow slip in my post office box. There's this
A
big
package?
a big package from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas.
I'm like,
You finally won.
I don't know anybody in Las Vegas. And then I opened it up, and she sent these two posters of her. She signed them. She wrote it to my name. She dated it.
What a nice thing for her to do. She didn't have to do that, but she did.
But believe me, I had those in my house for about quite a few years, and I said, "You've got a Supremes poster in your house." So now when you walk in the door, it's been mounted. It's on the wall. It's the first thing you see. And we were going to just talk about a little bit about that. And that week, she passed.
I know.
So the following week, we dedicated the show to her. And interestingly enough, I had two of those, and I didn't want the other one to get lost. So I donated it to the Ambition restaurant over here. Cause
they've got wonderful posters and things there, and I love that place.
I thought Mary belonged there. But anyway, you wanted to talk about the reenactment part, and if you have watched time...
We're switching topics here.
We're
Switching topics here. Reenactment, we've got photos. Can we show some of those photos, Raymond? Yeah, there you go. Let's talk about some of those photos.
Okay, the one where I'm outside is down at Bear Mountain, Stony Point, I think they called it, and they were having their annual Colonial Day or whatever it was, and we drove down there to do a skit. And the bugs, the mosquitoes or whatever they were, the flies were like biting.
You were talking about, those darn flies.
So we took a few pictures outside because they had people in full regalia there that are really into that. And then the one next to it is kind of important, the one on the right.
What we switched there. Okay, now this is a group photo they have.
That was Dear America. We did that up at Skidmore. And each one of us, if you notice, you see Eddie Rickenbacker, you see Rosie the Riveter, you see Mark Twain, and I was Booker T. Washington, and the young lady next to me was Sojourner Truth, and our friend Cliff Oliver in the front was.
I love Cliff. He's such a great guy.
Was Solomon North, 12 Years a Slave, but the young lady that's standing next to me, we're talking about the pandemic. She relocated to right before it started to Asheville, North Carolina, and she's been acting with me for like maybe 10, 15 years, and she has an acting company there. Last night, I'm rehearsing with her on
Zoom?
The phone.
Oh my!
The script is on my computer, and she has me doing something that we're going to be filming in a couple of weeks. So it's what you were talking about. We had no idea that the technology was going to be the thing that was going to save us, because we already had these resources available to us, and then people that were being creative found out that you didn't have to stop the world. You could go on through Zoom.
For a while, we thought everything stopped, and and then all of a sudden, people talked about Zoom. What is Zoom?
Yeah, the new Zoom. The funny story with Zoom is the acting company that I'm a member of in New York City, Essence of Acting. We monthly had to go down for rehearsals, and we usually do recitals in 54th Street, Broadway area. We couldn't do that. The director was like a genius. She actually, when All in the Family went off, they had an African-American family that moved into the house or next door, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
She played the mother in it.
Oh, really? Okay.
And she was on Broadway in UB, so she's been around quite a while. So she decided, and we didn't know anything about it, and it was a scary time. And she called me on the phone, and she sent a link, and we got into it, and she came on, and she started us rehearsing, and I'm in my little kitchen, because there's no school at this time. We're out of school.
Yeah, because you're associated with the Albany High School, Albany School.
Montessori Magnet School. MMA. I love me some Montessori. If y'all out there, you know that. And I got my little bitty phone, and I'm in my kitchen. It's being held on something, and we're rehearsing a scene. She's in Pennsylvania. The other actor is in Jersey City, and we're killing it, and she's recording it and filming it. And we did like a salon with a series of monologues on Facebook. And the whole idea to keep rehearsing and not giving up is what kept me going at that time. And the fact that I spoke to Mr. Ventura, the Eden Cafe. Joe.
Absolutely.
I love Joe Ventura. He's a genius.
You performed there.
He came, yes. I said, Joe, I see you still doing things nonstop. And I was wondering, would he do something? And he said, yeah, come on, we'll do an hour. And I invited a few guests, and with social distance. And at that particular show, at the end of August, were two ladies that were members of SOS. And they said, we're opening up again.
Yeah, good.
Give Dave Freeman a call. And I'm like, thank God for you, because you don't seem to understand, like, this is my life. This is me. And when a month doesn't go by, you do 2 or 3 shows, you're rehearsing. You're either rehearsing or performing. And I like it like that. And other than knowing that I was getting this opportunity, I knew school we were going to go back, but it was going to be social distance. But when we went to SOS, and it was social distance, and I got back into the music, and my DJ Ben Morton brought the stuff in, and we hit it that night. I kept running backstage to let the tears out because that's who I was, and I was just thanking God and
You were
blessing
back again.
that I could do what I was born to do again.
Yeah.
And I'm not into myself. It's just the love that you get from SOS and the people that love that 50s and 60s music and the doo-wop and the Motown and the rock and roll and the Beatles and the country and stuff like that. You know, it's something to live for. You know, I'm riding the bus here today and rehearsing tracks for our next show. You know, and that's something that gets you up in the morning. The other thing is, as a teacher, I'm back at Montessori. The social distance. All the children have to wear masks and everything, and they're so cool about it. It's like, yeah, man, I gotta take my mask down because I got my snack, and make sure my mask is wet. Can I have a new mask?
Yeah.
And I said the one thing that kept me going more than anything else is the fact that I can see the smiles behind their mask. You know, if you're around a bunch of miserable people, this is the end of the world. Chicken Little, the sky is falling.
The sky's falling.
You know, their outlook, makes you feel like there's no hope. And
Kids don't do that.
They don't have that.
Yeah.
They don't have that. So the beauty of their spirit under this kind of pressure made me feel like getting up every day had a new meaning. And my pastor, Pastor Katie Senta, at New Covenant Presbyterian Church in Albany, she said that just like the lost sheep got found, just like the lady found the coin out of all the ones that were lost, and just like the prodigal son that came back home, when they came back, they were changed from the experience. And that's how we're going to be when this is all over.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right. You know, I was not doing this show for over a year.
And we missed you.
I think I had them all scheduled, and then we just stopped doing the show. And that was in March, and then we started up here in April a year later, which was, 13 months later. It affected me.
Of course it did.
Because I love doing the show and meeting such great guests, just such as you and many of the others that come on our show. It keeps me involved in the community in the same way that music keeps you involved in the community.
Yeah.
And so it really took a toll. I mean, I don't think that we were depressed or anything, but it took a toll on the way that we were, our rhythm was in our life.
Thank you. I recently was in Pathmark, and somebody comes up to me and says, Pathmark, that's in New York City. I'm at Price Shoppers, and they go, "Oh, we saw you on the cover of Times Union." And I said, "Oh, I got a brother that's just as pretty as I am."
Oh.
But I was only being sarcastic.
Yeah.
But my good friend Paul Grandal.
I like Paul. He's been on the show. Yeah.
Had asked me, did I know anything about Adam Blake Jr. and the Kenmore Hotel, downtown Albany?
I remember the Kenmore.
And he knew that I did reenactments, and the Sand Lake Historical Society wanted somebody that could do that, and he contacted me, and I'm like, they're going to do it virtually, then they're going to have an audience, and they're not going to have an audience, then it's going to be live streamed, and all of this was going on, and I had to write. I wrote the script for it, and I was trying to get into the character, and the only thing I could think of, I watched The Alienist, that television show.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay, to see how men dressed in that time period. And they mostly had these kind of vests with the flip collar.
Yeah.
I observed that. And then they had a pocket watch.
Always have a pocket watch.
So I found a pocket watch at the costumer, and that was how I opened the scene with the big hat on, which I found.
We had that picture up there, yeah.
Which I found at a Goodwill store. I had to find him and make him different from the other characters. And this guy was a go-getter.
There it is. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
with the hat
on. That hat I found in a Goodwill store, and all of those clothing things that I'm wearing there are from used clothing stores.
But you put it together.
I had to put them together, and in that particular scene, he's going to the opening of the Kenmore, and his wife is waiting downstairs in the carriage, and he's looking for the pocket watch, but it was given to him by his father who passed away. And his father is like half of the story, because his father had been very prominent, worked for the Van Rensselaer family in
You
Albany.
did a little research, I think.
Honey, the libraries were closed, but the computer was up and running.
Yeah.
And I wrote the skit. In fact, I still walk around with it all the time. But the bottom line is, it was well received, and I'm about to do it again for the Albany History Fair.
Yeah.
They have recordings of it, so I don't have to do it, but they want to talk about the making of it. Believe it or not, if Janice Walz was here, I'd like to send a shout out to her because she beat the snow concerts. That was always a ball.
Yep.
She got in touch with me. First, we were going to do it. I told the DJ, you guys get ready. We're practicing tracks. We're ready. And then we weren't going to do it.
You were,
But
yeah.
I had tapes of me doing shows like at Hudson Valley, like a Motown show, and it worked. Janice called me back and said, "Oh, that was so much fun! That was so much fun!" And I'm
Did you
like,
really do that, Jan?
and I was like, because of,
By the way, Jan is our technical director. Yeah.
because of the pandemic, and as I think it got something to do with our American spirit as well as being New Yorkers.
Yeah,
you
New
know,
York
we're
strong.
tough. We're
New
tough.
York strong.
And we came through this thing, and got my blessings and to people that lost someone or whatever, or people that had, because I actually met people that had contracted disease that got better.
Yeah, some didn't.
I know that. But we came along at a time when the vaccine was perfected, and getting those shots. As an educator, I was on that second round. So my coworkers were like, "Come on, Hyman, let's get you in there. Let's get you an appointment." And going to SUNY Albany, and
Yeah, and that was really smooth, wasn't it?
it was smooth. It was smooth, and they had it really organized. But to live through these times and to be talking about them, and we'll look back one day and really say what it is to be blessed, because to go through this and not lose faith and not lose your spirit.
Exactly.
And to have people like Dave Freeman and SOS and all of these students in school that I work with every day, and my coworkers, and people in the community that just did not stick their head in the sand and say, "This is it. I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere." And I ride buses all the time.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I got to ride the bus, or I got to walk. And I didn't. Thank you.
You made it through it.
Right. I just pray for the day that the nursing homes open up
Yeah,
again.
and that's a
I
problem.
did a lot of shows for them, and I missed a lot of them.
And then they get one case of COVID, they're down for 14 days. It's really tough.
One day it'll come back. I lost a lot of those. I wasn't able to do those, but I have a feeling one day they'll come back. Just like SOS came back, all right?
Exactly. I do want to, if you just wait, I'm going to say who's coming up next week, and then we'll just finish off this interview. The Aquatic Center is in the planning, and they're going to build a big aquatic center on the Mohawk Harbor. We've got the president to come in and talk about it. It's going to be, there's only like 2 in the country, so this is an amazing, 2 in the state, 1 in Long Island and 1, I think, in the Buffalo area. So we will be an aquatic center for all the big meets, for swimming meets and all. Crossroads Center for Children will be on, and that's we'll be talking about their programs. Also, the New York Folklore Society will be on, and we have an iconographer. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyways, he studies icons, and he's an artist, and it's an amazing exhibition that's coming up here. And then the Schenectady Community Ministries will be on, and we'll be talking about some of their programs. And the Schenectady Symphony's coming back, yay! So things are moving along, Don, and I'm really glad to see that when I get these guests and I find out that things are opening up, it's making my heart feel good.
Yeah, and what makes my heart feel good is to be sitting here talking with you again, because I truly have been blessed to be on your show several times.
Yes, you have.
And I still think about Greg every now and then, because he's the one that said, "We want you to come to SOS." And I was like, "Man, you know how long I've been doing this, and I got nothing done yet." And he kept bugging me and bugging me to go.
He was a bugger.
And he got me
he always
there,
wanted to
finally to go to SOS, and we had some good times. I remember the time we did the whole cowboy show. Everybody came dressed in Western outfits.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So,
but it's such a
not looking
pleasure to
back.
have you on the show and to talk about. And as I said, I'm always pleased to have him on because he talks about the history of music, and we didn't touch on some of it, but we'll have you on again to talk more about the history of the great songstresses like Aretha Franklin and many of the other fabulous women. But thank you so much for being here,
And thank
John.
you for
it's
being-
always a pleasure to have
And
you
thank you for being a part of my life.
Thank you.
And thank SOS and all my good friends over there for bringing me back.
Yeah, yeah.
It really touches my heart and soul.
Good.
That's
And
what it is.
thank you for watching Capital Region Today. We're so happy that you joined us. Stay tuned for another great show coming up.
Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.